Welcome back to the Global Business Report on Arise News technology segment here. A blockchain lawyer by the name of Faith Obafemi has written an article, a research piece on the website of the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Under the website's Technology Policy section, the article is titled Blockchain for Space Governance and says that governments, industry operators, and the general public must begin to imagine and plan for the technical and legal details of governance and financial exchange among private parties on the extraterrestrial frontier. Faith Obafemi, lawyer and tech policy analyst, joins us now from Amsterdam to discuss further. Faith, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin, I want to look at the praise that your article has been getting. Let's just go take a look at a couple tweets here reacting to your piece. One says, one of the best written articles about blockchain and space governance I have ever read. Fantastic piece. And then your tag there. And then Charles Okafamba, who is a regular blockchain guest on our network. He says a deeply researched piece for an unconventional industry. Nicely done, Faith. How are you reacting to the warm reception that your piece has been getting?
First of all, I am grateful to God for the opportunity. And second, I am glad my research efforts have received such reception. It's encouraging me to do more, and it shows that more people are becoming interested in emerging technologies and the topical issues around them.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is a very, you're really going out there with this piece. You said we should all begin to imagine and plan for the technical and legal details of governance and financial exchange among private parties on the extraterrestrial frontier. Why should that be? Why should we?
Well, because whatever future we are beginning to imagine is closer than we think. And for instance, space launch costs have been reducing from as high as $200,000 in 70 years ago to now as low as $10,000. And also Richard Branson's success with the Virgin Galactic flight and more initiatives from Blue Origin and Elon Musk shows us that we need to begin having these conversations.
Okay, so as you pointed out in the piece, space is outside our jurisdiction. So how can blockchain play any role in space governance?
Okay, one similarity between blockchain and outer space is that both are borderless. And during my research, while exploring how outer space governance can benefit from capitalizing on this blockchain decentralization feature, I found a practical application in helping solve issues relating to space debris by automating the obligation to retrieve damaged or inactive space objects. This means, for instance, before obtaining clearance to launch a space object, one could make a deposit that could be used towards financing the removal of this space object or towards paying a third party who suffers loss or damage. This is just one example.
I know, it's a very long research piece with other examples. You mentioned the OST, the Outer Space Treaty. It's about 50 years old, I think. Does it need to be updated to account for present-day technology that can aid outer space governance that you're talking about?
Yes, definitely. It needs to be updated because I guess it was created based on current realities then. And now that a lot of things have changed, it definitely needs to get updated, especially with respect to provisions that have broad interpretations that many countries are currently taking advantage of to even ignore general provisions.
Interesting. Now, you talked about, this was very interesting, but a galaxy reserve currency. Is cryptocurrency the answer there, and why?
I would say maybe cryptocurrency is one option, but when we consider the borderless nature of outer space and the fact that although there are a few contenders for a global currency, there is currently no single currency globally accepted everywhere. And in addition, based on these three conditions of a shared market, political neutrality, and a regulative body, which crypto actually meets, trying to identify these conditions as necessary for one to consider crypto as a global currency. And because crypto meets these conditions I've just mentioned, it's going to make it more attractive to space actors if they adventure they were going to consider a galaxy reserve.
Mind-blowing stuff. It really is. When you think about how to apply that out there and everything that's going on, that really is something else. What kind of role can smart contracts play in space governance?
Okay, I just kind of made reference to that earlier when I talked about how blockchain can be used. And the code that runs this is called smart contracts. So another example could be using it for between space objects themselves in the sense of machine-to-machine transactions, because there are still some transactions that sometimes do not require human intervention. So this is a perfect use case for blockchain in space governance.
And I think that, yeah, that's on the Ethereum blockchain, I think, is where most of the smart contracts are run. So okay, it all sounds, rosy and pretty good so far. What about the risks of blockchain for space governance that you talk about in your research piece?
Yeah, so it's not all rosy. There are definitely some risks involved. And the most important, or should I say the major risk, would happen to be that this could be a way to widen the digital divide that we already have between the haves and the have-nots. Because anyone intending to do anything relating to space definitely needs a huge bank account. Another risk could be that because in using blockchain technology, there is a steep learning curve involved. That means there is going to be need to spend time and resources on equipping and updating people and their experience and capacity. Then there is also the issue with interoperability among the different types of blockchain. It's possible for different space actors to adopt different blockchains, although these issues are also even being solved in the blockchain ecosystem.
Very interesting. As far as your paper, your research paper, you made some policy recommendations. Can you share any of them with us?
Okay, yeah. The first and most important one is creating awareness, accelerating awareness. During my research, I sent out a survey to different groups of people, and one question I asked was, who owns space? Nobody or everybody? And I found out that 63% of people were of the opinion that nobody owns space. And that definitely means that most people are actually not aware about the provisions of the OST that says space belongs to humanity. So there needs to be more effort towards accelerating awareness through different ways that could even be addressing even issues relating to intellectual property, because that has been one of the blockers relating to creating awareness. Then another recommendation I made is encouraging experimentation. We have a lot of programming hackathons happening worldwide, but I don't think I've ever heard of a space hackathon happening anywhere. So now could be a chance to open up this kind of experimentation to different groups of people and also increase interest in STEM programs, both at grade level, university, and everywhere else. And lastly, there is a need for stronger regulation. Just like I mentioned earlier, there are lots of broad interpretations for most of the provisions of currently existing laws. So there's probably a need to tighten all of these interpretations so we don't have a situation where countries take advantage of these opportunities to basically ignore all the general provisions.
Faith, I think your research paper should be in universities all over the world. It's really, I haven't even done reading it. It's pretty long and in-depth, and I'm glad we're able to condense this into about 10 minutes to talk about it. Faith Obafemi, lawyer, technology policy analyst, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. All right, that was Amsterdam. Next, we go to Nairobi. We talked to the group managing director, the CEO of Cellulant, the giant Pan-African payment company in Nairobi. Talked to them about scaling payments across the African continent. Stay tuned.